What's up everyone, my name is Garrett Adelstein, welcome back to the vlog. We're here for day 2 of the stream playing 25, 50, 50 big blind ante. I had a lot of fun yesterday, couldn't make a hand, lost 2.7k in a very good game. Game's going to be a little tougher today, but that's okay. I thrive playing against tougher players. So yeah, we're going to jump straight in, we're not going to do a big long intro. Let's jump in and play some hands, win some pots, and make some money. Let's do it. Alright guys, we are back for more 25, 50, 100 action. Stand-up game is going to be on all night tonight. Lots of amazing hands from this session and one very gentlemanly agreement between two friends, but we'll get to that later. Plenty of familiar LA faces here tonight. I've played a bunch with TJ in the Commerce and other casinos in Los Angeles. I'm friends with Jared. I of course played with Bruce the night before, and a few familiar faces in the mix as well. I've played with Raymond once before. He's a great player, gives lots of action, and I'm hoping to get an early read on the guys that I don't know. Let's get into our first hand of the night here. We see a $275 raise from Antonius. L calls in the cutoff. I'm in the small blind with King Queen offsuit. I'm never folding. Don't mind a call if there's a weak player behind, but I know TJ is pretty solid, so I decided to put in the squeeze myself here. I make it $1,300 to go. Size is standard here. The straddle is on, so we're 100 big blinds effective. Definitely don't want to go smaller than this. Antonius has King 8 suited and lets it go. L actually folds a better hand. He's got Ace 10 offsuit. The squeeze play is going to get through nicely here, and we scoop in our first pot of the night. Next hand is a bit of a crazy one. I'm not involved in it. Bruce is raised on the button. Raymond puts in the 3-bet from the big blind, and Bruce puts in the 4-bet. Raymond rips it in for $12,000. Bruce snaps him off. Bruce has got aces, and Raymond has got 6-3 suited. Only allowed to run it once tonight. 24k pot coming Bruce's way. Raymond is a bit of a sicko. He is capable of crazy plays like this, so we're going to have to be ready to call it off tonight if we need to. Kind of light. Stand-up game is on for the next one here. L raises to $150 under the gun. I look down at pocket 14s. I put in the re-raise to $550. A bit bigger than usual because we're deeper and the stand-up game is on. You tend to want to use bigger sizes when the stand-up game is on. It folds all the way back around to L, who thankfully doesn't fold. He makes the call and we go heads up to the flop. Ace, Queen 7 with a flush draw. Top set is never a bad thing. There's also a ton of worse hands that can call on a board like this. Far better than a board like Ace 8-3 Rainbow. I bet out for $400, 1/3 pot. Very standard stuff from me. Happy to see my opponent make the call. Praying for no diamonds on the turn. It's a great turn, pairing the queen and giving me a full house. What's more, L is going to lead out here for $700. Absolutely love to see that. I think raising here would be a mistake. He can take this line with hands like King Jack, King 10, flush draws, and if we raise, then most of those hands will be scared away. If he's got a queen, then we're going to pile money in on the river anyway, but for now, let's just call, keep all his bluffs and his gut shots and stuff like that with 0% equity in the hand. The river is the 8 of hearts. Nothing gets there, nothing changes, and now he bets again, this time for $500. I think for this size, he never has a queen. A bluff never bets this size. A queen never bets this size. He's just always got an ace here. I'm thinking about how big to raise, a bit of fake tanking as well. I actually use a time extension chip just to continue to tell the story a little bit. And in the end, I raise it on up to $4,200. I actually verbalized it because the last thing I want to do here is misclick raise to like 3k or something and miss out on some value. I just announced $4,200 before I put anything out just to be safe. I then slowly fake cover the pulse in my neck just in case he's looking at me. He goes into a long tank. It's clear he's not raising. It's clear he doesn't love it. It's pretty clear he's got an ace. The whole time I'm pretty sure he's calling just because of the stand-up game. In the end, he calls. He's got ace, jack, offsuit. Kind of expected a hand like that after that river size. And to be honest, I would have called in his shoes as well. The stand-up game does crazy things to people. $8,000 pot coming my way. Off to a glorious start here tonight after this hand. Up about $4,500 after less than an hour of play, and also safe from the stand-up game. Always good to save yourself and just take advantage of that sweet action that'll come your way. So for those that don't know, we play the stand-up game a little differently here at the Commerce Casino. The loser doesn't pay a small amount to everyone. Instead, they splash the next pot. My man Jared has lost the stand-up game, so he's got to put $1,400 dead into the next pot for everyone else at the table to fight over. Very cool variant to the game, makes for more action as well, and as well as that, if you lose the stand-up game, you could get back to even. It's a great way to play it. So there's $1,400 dead in the middle here and a straddle. L raises in the hijack to $600. Nick is in the cutoff and puts in the re-raise to $2,000. I'm on the button with ace 10 offsuit and really not sure what to do here. There's dead money in there, which of course widens both players' ranges, but if I 4-bet, I have to stick the rest in. I can't like make it 5k and fold, and it feels like when this guy sticks in 2k, he's probably willing to play for it all, and I don't really want to put in 10k here with ace 10 offsuit, so I decide decide to just let it go. Really not sure though, would genuinely like some advice in the comments as to what we do here. Jared has got 6k in front of him, he decides to shove it in with the straddle. Happy I folded now. It's back on Nick, who calls it off with pocket sixes. Jared has got ace-5 offsuit. I've honestly got no clue what would happen if I put in the cold 4-bet. Nick is going to hold here, and Jared loses the stand-up game and another stack while trying to win his bounty in the middle back. He also lost ace-king versus ace-5 all in pre-flop for 10k during the stand-up game as well, so this poor guy is getting crushed so far. My stack is sitting pretty after about an hour and 15 minutes here. I've got 15.7k in it. My VPIP is 25%, which isn't bad, but it's the lowest so far. I haven't been nitty, just a little bit card dead, and I'll for sure get it up a little bit later on in the session. Up about 5.7k so far. Really nice start to the night. Hopefully going to kick on here and have a big night. Stand-up game is not on for this next hand. L is raised on the button to $150. I'm in the big blind with ace-king offsuit and put in the re-raise. I make it $650 to go. He's going to make the call, and we see the flop come down 7-5-3 with 2 hearts. Complete swing and a miss for me. When we 3-bet from the small blind, our range is pretty merged into that top left Broadway section of the chart, but from the big blind we're much more polar. We've got hands like Jack-7 suited and 6-5 suited and whatnot much more often, so our ace-king really tumbles down in our range here. Factor in it's a bad board for us anyway, and I start off with a check. L takes a stab for $400. He's playing well tonight, and I assume that he knows he's supposed to stab small on this spot. Honestly, I'm just happy to fold ace-king here. Ace-king with a heart, I'm going to continue, but ace-king with no backdoor flush draw, I'm happily just folding it. We see that he's actually got queen 6 of diamonds. Bit of a loose peel by him, but nicely maneuvered post-flop to take it down. Stand-up game is back on now, and the straddle is on as well. L is going to raise to $300 in early position. I make a very stand-up gamey call here with queen jack offsuit in the hijack, and Perry calls out the big blind. We go 3 ways to king, queen 5 with 2 hearts. Second pair versus 2 wide ranges. Not a bad start. L is going to see bet for $400. I expect him to just bet close to his entire range here, and he's got a wide range because of the stand-up game, so definitely not worried about his range just yet. I make the call, kind of hoping that Perry gets out the way, but he does call as well. A lot less likely I've got the best hand now. The turn is the 9 of clubs, and both players check to me. I fake tank for about 12 seconds or so, knowing full well that I'm just going to check it on back. Hoping for a bit of help on the river. It's the 2 of clubs, total brick. Perry checks, and now L bets out for $1,000 into a pot of 2,300. On the face of it, this looks really tempting to call given the price we're getting, plus the stand-up game is on, but this is just never a bluff. He's bet small into 2 people. This is always value. I think calling here would be a bit of a punt, and we have Perry behind who can still have better, so I make what we're going to call a B game fold here. Not a snap fold, but it's a disciplined, solid fold to get out of the way. Perry calls pretty quickly. They both had really quite strong hands here given the dynamic of the stand-up game, but I'm happy I was able to get away and save that $1,000 on the river. Still going to need to win a hand to save myself from the stand-up game here, and hoping that this ace-king will do the job. Nick limps in under the gun. You're supposed to do a lot of limping, I think, in the stand-up game. I toy with the idea of over-limping and then back-raising, but instead I just raise it on up to $400. 8x ISO because of the stand-up game. Raymond is on the button. He is safe from the stand-up game, and he makes it 1.2k to go. This is a little concerning because he shouldn't be too out of line here given he's safe, and it's a small raise. We're like 14k deep here, quite a lot of big blinds to get in with ace-king offsuit because the straddle is not on here, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to just call this re-raise. That all changes though when Nick decides to limp re-raise to $4,000. This is kind of gross now. He looks really strong. He's been playing kind of snug so far. The only thing that's good about this is he doesn't have a button yet, so he could be getting a little out of line to try and save himself in the stand-up game. I'm not calling here. I've got 2 options, shove or fold, and I didn't come all this fucking way to fold ace-king on stream, so in it goes. $14,000. I'm all in. I can tell immediately that Raymond is folding a bit reluctantly. Not worried about that. Sure enough, he does get out of the way, and I fade the snap from Nick, which is great. This felt a bit gross shoving it in, but when he takes a few seconds, I'm pretty sure I'm flipping it worse, which is obviously fine with all that dead money in there. He does eventually let it go. He had ace-queen, pretty sick play by him, and really unfortunate he ran into my ace-king here. Raymond, as we saw, had king-queen. Lots of high cards, but nobody with a pair. 5.5k or so of variance-free money coming my way. Absolutely love that. And safe from the stand-up game. This stand-up game in particular has been really crazy. A couple of huge hands towards the end. Fishbrew's going off on a massive adventure with 6 high, and Raymond jamming the river with the best hand. Really sick hand here. Purpur's got off to an amazing start tonight, but not running so hot now. Just a couple of minutes later, Raymond is at it again, betting 4k into 2k on the river versus L with a set of 10s, and L making the call with just ace high. What makes it even sicker is both these guys are actually safe from the stand-up game, so this is just some straight up gangster poker from both of them. Stand-up game finishes and I don't play any hands of note for the next 45 minutes. Not being a net, not scared money before anyone says it in the comments, just a little card dead. We stick the stand-up game back on though, and very early in the next round we play a very fun hand. Fishbrews limps in with ace 10 offsuit, Raymond raises to $150 with queen 9 of diamonds, a very small raise given the circumstances. L calls in the cutoff with jack 10 offsuit, Nick calls on the button with ace 4 of spades, and I peel 2 black jacks in the small blind. What a sight to behold here. I put in a large squeeze here. I make it $1,200 to go. Maybe a little bit too big in hindsight. I think like 1k is a little more appropriate. TJ is in the big blind and doesn't snap fold. In fact, he makes it $2,400 to go. Now, I know that we can see that he's got ace jack, but TJ plays pretty solid, pretty tight. And this is a cold 4-bet after I've put in a large squeeze. So this is a little gross when you can't see the cards. It folds back round to me. And like I say, this is really quite gross. Yeah, the stand-up game is on, but this is a small, cold 4-bet from a player who is capable of bluffing, but is never super out of line. He's not like a spewy player. Can we just fold this? Shoving seems insane. I think folding is out of line, so I guess we call and see a flop and see what we need to do. That's what I decided to do. It feels like the best of 3 bad options. We go heads up to the flop. It is 10-9-8 with 2 clubs. Without flopping a jack, this is about as good as it can get, to be honest. No overs, and if I'm behind, I've got an open-ended straight draw, and maybe my backdoor flush draw is live as well. Now, this is a board that's really good for the caller's range, not so much for the aggressor's range. I've got 8s, 9s, 10s, 2 pairs and queen jack that he should never cold 4-bet. He's got none of the nutted hands, so I have a clear nut advantage and decide to lead out on the flop because of that nut advantage. Even though we aren't the pre-flop aggressor, I decide to lead out for $1,300. I really don't love it, but I know this is the right play. Whatever happens here afterwards is kind of whatever. As long as we play it well, that's the main thing. Let's hand it over to the guys in the booth to take it away for the rest of the hand.
All in.
One time have ace 10.
He said one time have ace 10.
What do you think?
I guess, yeah. I'm just speeding.
Ghazi's just been able to sniff out what people have very well, especially TJ, actually. Queen for a chop.
Can we?
Ace for the win.
Can we rabbit hunt for
it's on
fun
camera?
after we...
Can we rabbit hunt for fun to see what it would have been?
Okay. Yeah.
Oh my God! Can we rabbit hunt?
I won't lose the second one. Okay.
Yeah, me and Hank just exploded real quick. Pause.
Somebody do the honors?
The burn.
Pointless.
Okay. What I own?
When will it end? Like, actually, when will it end? This ace on the turn, the 10 from Dr. H in the last episode, 13k pot last year with Jacks versus King 9 in LA, 16k flip versus British Bulldog in Sheffield, Kings v Aces on the Hustler. Every time I play a big game in this vlog, I lose. Maybe it's karma for me becoming a vlogger. But anyway, thanks very much for listening to me rant there. I needed to get that off my chest. Now, regarding the hand itself, you're not allowed to run it twice here. I learned that about 45 minutes after I ran it twice with Dr. H and he hit that 10 in the last episode. You'll notice that TJ and I discussed something before the run out. We shook hands and then we rabbit hunted to see what would have been. Let's just say TJ is a man of his word. Right, moving on now. After chopping that up, after losing that pocket jacks hand, I still don't have a button to save me from the stand-up game. Next up, El is raised to $200. He's also not safe, and I look down at a couple of Kardashians in the cutoff. I re-raised to $725. You'll also notice that I don't top up my stack just yet. I mentioned it in the last episode. You generate some EV by being short stacked in the stand-up game, and given I just got sucked out on the turn there with that ace, I'm entitled to short stack for a few hands to maximize that EV, in my opinion. L is going to fold here with his 5-4 also, and I'm safe from the stand-up game, and then top up. This is just a wee tip for those who play the game. If you lose a big pot, keep your stack shorter until you're safe or until the game ends. Alright, final hand of the stand-up game here, and you can actually see L kind of implementing that strategy I was just talking about. He's lost a few really ugly pots over the last 20 minutes or so, and instead of topping himself up, he keeps himself short. He's heads up with Perry in the stand-up game here, and open shoves for 3k into Perry's big blind. It folds round to Perry, and he says fuck it and makes the call. Perry's got 8 high and L's got queen 10 offsuit. Real heart shown by both players here. It's a very action flop. The table explodes a little bit, but L is going to hold here. Perry loses 3k in the hand and also has to splash $1,400 into the next pots. Pretty rubbish result for him all in all. So now there's a bunch of dead money in the next pot. Straddle is also on, and L raises an early position to $500. I am 2 seats over and look down at ace jack offsuit. L is not topped up yet. He's playing a stack of around 6.5k to start the hand. 65 bigs versus a guy who's just open rip 3k with queen 10 offsuit, and there's a bunch of dead money in there. I'm 3-bet getting this in all day, every day. I don't want to call because then it goes call behind me and we go 7 ways to the flop. Now this kind of sucks that we're both early position. Someone behind could wake up with a hand here. Perry actually has king 10 of diamonds in the small blind and tanks for a little while before eventually folding, which is exactly why we put in this 3-bet, to just fold out these nice equity hands like this. Raymond folds king jack offsuit in the big blind. Really nice for me, as I say, to re-raise and fold out all these nice hands. Action is back on L, and he chooses the scariest option of them all. He calls. I'm happily calling if he jams, but now we're playing bingo as we go to the flop with $3,400 in the middle, and I completely whiff. It might look like I'm in no man's land here, but I'm happily bet calling here. It sounds a little crazy, but I can't fold with so much out there, so I bet out for $1,100, ready to call it off versus a jam. L actually is queen jack suited, so he can't do anything here other than just fold. Really nice pot coming my way here with all the dead money in there. I profit like $2,300 in this hand. Gotta say, I love this variant of the stand-up game with the splash pop. Alright, moving on now, and TJ is raised under the gun on my straddle. Perry makes the call in MP, Antonius calls on the button, and I thought about squeezing here in the straddle with king 10 suited, but given the original raiser is under the gun, it just makes his range stronger, and everyone else's range gets stronger as a result, so I decide against squeezing into some strong ranges. I just call, and we see a flop and go from there. It comes down 10-9-7 with 2 hearts. Not a bad start here flopping top pair. We check to the button and he bets out for $400. I really want to just fold this. I know TJ knows to check his overpairs here. It's such a wet board. Antonius has been playing really well, really tight and solid so far. He's always got a good-ish hand at worst when he bets. I honestly think folding wouldn't be too out of line here, but with the backdoor flush draw, I decide to just go ahead and make the call. TJ calls as well, and now Perry pops it. He makes it 2.6k to go. I don't think he's super strong when he does this. Super strong hands are 2 pairs in sets. They're almost never checking here when they're second last to act. It's just so risky on a wet board. It could just go check, and you give everyone a free turn. I think he's going to have a nut flush draw type hand, maybe a 9-8 suited type hand here really often, but it's going to cost me a lot of money to find out. If I call here or raise, I think TJ just folds basically always, but versus the range I'm assigning Perry, I'm either just ahead, and I could be wrong, and I could be way behind, so I just sigh and fold here. TJ then back raise jams, which makes me feel good about my fold. Perry snaps him up. $30,000 pot between these two guys. TJ has got pocket queens, and Perry has got king jack of hearts for a huge draw. Somehow, some way, my man TJ is going to hold here. Really tough night for Perry. I don't think he's done much wrong, but he's down chunks so far. I can tell he's a good solid live lag, but he's running into it a bit tonight. He actually calls it quits after this. Definitely don't blame him. When it's not your night, it's definitely not your night. Game is winding down a little now, and we're going to get one more round of the stand-up game in. In this next hand, L is raised in the small blind to $300. Nick calls in the big blind, and I'm in the straddle with 9-6 of spades. Really easy call here in position. We go 3 ways to the flop, 7-6-3 with 1 spade. Both players check to me, and it's a bit too weak to stab here normally, but the risk is worth the reward if it gets through, given the stand-up game is on. So I take a stab here for $500. Kind of want to just take it down here, but I've got outs if I need them, I guess. Both players actually make the call here. Really don't love that, but I could still be ahead here. Remember, I can't see the cards. The turn is the ace of hearts, flush draw now possible, and L decides to lead out. He bets out for $600, which clears out Nick. I think he can check call the flop with all the Broadway hands with backdoor flush draws. When he does check call the flop with those hands, he doesn't know Nick is going to call as well, of course, but he can have some king 5 suited type hands, so he does have bluffs here for sure that want to lead out on the quote-unquote scare card ace turn. So I think we have to call here with our third pair, especially given the price we're getting and the stand-up game is on. The river is a jack bricky card, and now he decides to check. I check it back faster than the speed of light, and thank God I did, because he's got pocket sixes. I was drawing extremely thin on the flop. 3.7k pot going his way. This stand-up game round is costing me some money here. TJ and I are now heads up. It's making me do all sorts of things like call and open here on the button with 6-4 offsuit. I have to just fold on the turn when Raymond fires the second barrel. Thankfully, TJ lets his hand go as well. Pretty tense here as it's the last round and neither of us want to lose $1,200 in the splash pot. 2 hands later, I'm in the hijack with King 5 offsuit and raised to $300. No straddle this hand. It's a 6x raise because I just want to be done with this game. Raymond calls in the small blind and Antonius calls out the big blind. The flop is King high, which is such a relief. So nice to flop top pair in the spot. I see bet for $325. I'm expecting some resistance, to be honest. Surely it looks like I'm just trying to steal the pot here, but both players fold. Raymond's got ace-8, Antonius has got 10-9, 2 nice hands, but my king on the flop is going to help me take it down and save me from the stand-up game. This is actually the last hand of the night for me. Not much else is going to happen after this, and as we can see from the final tallies, 29% VPIP. It's not the worst. Nowhere near as good as L's though in first place. Not going to go into details. I'm sure you guys saw a handshake before the Jack's hand, etc. I won 9.6k on the night. Very nice night for me, which brings us to the end of the video. Let's swish to the outro. I really hope you guys enjoyed this one. Alright guys, we are all done. I have no idea how much I won or lost. I need to do some admin. All my fucking bankrolls on the table right now. Looks good, doesn't it? Yeah, I had an amazing time. I'll put the results on screen and stuff like that. I had an amazing time over the last couple of days. I really hope you guys tuned in and enjoyed it and all that lovely stuff. If you could click the sub button, I'd be very grateful. But yeah, thanks very much for joining and I'll see you in the next one.